Hi, I'm Waylon Prebor. I'm director of the McDowell Senior Center, and today I'm with the McDowell Legacy Project here talking with Jim and Jerry Gorsk.
My name is John Cook.
My name is Nick Harriman.
My name is James Lindsay.
I was born in Jones County, North Carolina, in 1935, November 25th, at Cox's Creek.
I was born in Buffalo, New York.
I was born in Cleveland, Ohio at St. Anne's Hospital. My mother had come from Newcastle, Pennsylvania for the birth. And then we came back to Newcastle, Pennsylvania, where I stayed until I was 17.
I was born in Pecos, Texas. My father was stationed there. He was in service. So then after a couple of years there, I guess, then we moved back to Detroit. And I was pretty much raised in Detroit, Michigan.
I was born here in McDowell County, Maryland.
What is your name?
Isabel
Isabel what?
Hoisington.
And who is this beside you?
That's my daughter, Joy. Senior
Joy.
Joy Evans. I'm Joy Evans.
My name is Everett Clark.
My name is Jessie Revis Bartlett.
My name is David Russell Bartlett.
My name is Robert Ambern Gorley, but everybody calls me Bob.
I was born in Asheville on Fresh Broad Avenue. They told me.
I was born in Asheville as well, in what they call the old hospital, in 1938, June 25th.
I was born in 1941 in South Carolina in Marlborough County, and the county seat there is Bennettsville.
I was born November the 14th, 1939, in Marion, McDowell County, North Carolina.
I was born in Greer, South Carolina. That's Spartanburg County.
And I was born May the 5th, 1939, in Marion, McDowell County.
What is your name?
Max Woody. My name is Eugene Benton.
And my name is Yana Benton.
My name is George Edward Ziegler. I was born in 1929 in West Marion. It was then called the Glades.
I was born in Hastings, Michigan, Berry County.
I was born in Battle Creek, Michigan. I was born in a little hospital in a village called Horgen on the Lake of Zurich in Switzerland. Actually, I was born in bed. I grew up in Scotland most of my days until I came over here. I grew up in numerous cities. I went to school in numerous cities. I grew up in about probably 6, 7, 8 cities before I got out of town.
I grew up in my own little one light town, and all through about 8th and 9th grade, and then 3 schools consolidated, Bellevue High School. The band members went to that school first, kind of broke up our little group that we'd been through kindergarten, through the whole thing, and then we came a year later, and it's still right close to my little town.
Well, my school had fewer than 300, and it was first grade through 12. We didn't have kindergarten then. We had one dictionary about that tall in what we called the library. That sat on a podium, and that was the only book that we had in the library. We did not have, when I finally got to college in like 1970-something, 77, that was the first time I'd seen a biology book.
We went to a 2-room school from the 4th to the 8th grade, and that was all one same teacher, and he was your playground superintendent, or whatever he was called. He played softball. We had a softball team, but it was real fun. It just was a lot different than it is today. It was more relaxed, I would say.
It was really different. We didn't have organized play. The boys did play some baseball, and we had intercollegiate. The only thing that we had was basketball, but we had to play out on the dirt. We didn't have a even a cement platform to play on.
The first I went to school, I got lice. So my mother kept me out that year. And she taught me at home. So the next year I went in and so instead of going to the first grade to the second grade, I went on to the third grade. But I was older then, see, you didn't have to go till you was 7, then. And so.
Well, it was a little bit different then. We had just 7 years of elementary school, and then we had 4 years of high school. So we just had 11 years, and you were a senior at high school. But at that time, we had an unusual situation. After you graduated from high school, you could continue another year of postgraduate work in high school. So I actually had 12 years, but y'all have 12 years now.
Well, when I was growing up, our popular hairstyle in high school was ponytail, and we wore the full skirts with the crinoline petticoats under them, and we wore saddle oxfords and penny loafers with shoes and bobby socks. We'd cut off tops of socks and roll them down into one big roll on right above our shoe tops, and that was see who could get the biggest roll on their socks. And then in grade school, we played hopscotch and jump rope and Red Rover, and sing David Right Over.
We played a lot of kick the can and flashlight tag, but kick the can mostly because I lived in a community where there was straight line streets, a lot of kids, and of course we could run behind the houses and do that. The bad thing about kick the can was that you had to, when you saw somebody, you had to run back to the can, put your foot on the can, and say 1, 2, 3 on Stanley or something like that. Well, in the meantime, Stanley would run the other side of the garage, and then he said, well, I'm not here, not there. And the thing was about kick the can, that if you could have almost everybody caught, but if somebody came in and kicked the can, then everybody ran free, and then you started all over again. So the guy that was it, he was it a long time.
And we just had a lot of fun. We roller skated, jumped rope, and I enjoyed the music on Dick Clark show. It was teenagers, and I liked that music and that show. The girls used to dance with that music after school. It was fun.
I didn't do a lot of sports. The family just wasn't big on sports. I guess I wasn't. My dad didn't watch football or anything like that. And so the only activities that I got started in was when I got to high school. I got involved in a rock and roll band. That did a lot for my image, and I got more popular then. Maybe as popular as a football player, I don't know.
Customs have changed a great deal. One of the things that the young men, and I'm talking 14 and on up, we wore dungarees. You know what dungarees are, I would assume. Okay. Or blue jeans. And we had them heavily starched, pressed. We rolled the cuffs up. I don't see many cuffs rolled up anymore on men's or boys' jeans. And they were starched to perfection. And we wore white t-shirts, very pristine white, bleached. And one of the things that we like to do was to roll our smokes up in the sleeve of our shirt. It looked cool, we thought.
Back then, we used to wear t-shirts and white t-shirts and tight pants and greasy hair and sideburns, things like that. Yeah.
And hairstyles, we wore what was known as ducktails, which was long hair on the sides, combed neatly, and then down the back, you took your finger and run down the back of your neck. And shoe wear, my God, we didn't have tennis shoes. We wore black wingtips with white on the side, and it was in style to wear tassels, which is probably today is considered somewhat sissy riches. And you had to have large toe taps on the front and heel taps on the back. That way they knew you were coming. So, not a whole lot has changed in the fashion world, but some of those things that you young folk may never get to witness or enjoy, but it was an enjoyable time. I was fortunate enough to go to school at Pleasant Gardens from the 1st grade through the 12th grade. And one of the ironies of that school was that the same teacher, Mrs. Ola Wall, taught me in 1st grade, and she was also my father's 1st grade teacher.
School was not a really good experience. I went to school. We didn't have toys to play with. We didn't play games in school, and our lunchtime was 1 hour long, and all the kids were turned loose in the playground with no supervision. And the ones who lived close by were able to walk home for dinner. So I struggled through school. It was very difficult. When I got promoted to the 7th grade, I quit school. I had to quit so I could help my mother and go to work. So I did. I took a job, my first job, at 25 cents a day. And I brought my 25 cents home and gave it to my mother to help pay for food. I grew up in the Depression. And so life was not as smooth and great as it is today. I remember for Christmas, very fortunate to get a pair of shoes for Christmas. I remember standing in the food line with my mother for food that we could eat.
We lived in the country. I had, there were 6 of us kids. And we didn't have a whole lot of anything, but we loved each other. We had a lot of love in our family. We didn't feel poor, but after you get grown up, you realize that you grew up kind of poor. Maybe whenever you just have one dress, you get it all ironed and washed and fixed up on the weekend. You start the week new, all clean. But we weren't the only ones. There's a lot of people. It was during Depression times, and it was hard to get money. And I don't know, I never felt poor. I felt like we were pretty kind of well-to-do,
We lived in the projects, which would be considered poor people, but I thought we were rich. I had no idea. So.
My father and his dad moved from Mitchell County. They worked a lot with the CC&O Railroad to Forest City. And my dad got hopelessly crippled in a railroad accident when he was 27 years old and was never able to work anymore. And they lost their home, an automobile, and their bank account. The Depression hit. They moved to West Marion, and I got born, so we was hit with a triple whammy. But we were cut. We survived it. And my mother had 8 brothers, and occasionally they came and stayed with us. They farmed, and on Saturdays they'd bring milk and butter and eggs to town that they grew on the farm. And at that time, Marion had a kind of like a farmer's market just below the courthouse uptown. And people horse traded, had cows there, they had pigs, and big trucks with pigs, selling pigs. And so my father always worked at something, and he went on crutches. and had a brace on for a lot of years. And he always did things that he was able to do. He would plant and dig. He couldn't do much physical digging, but he always made a garden. He always had chickens. We had hogs and a milk cow. And Dad would we'd fix beds to sow tomato plants and all kind of vegetable plants. And we had moved at that time to Clinchfield Village. And people from the mill village would come down and buy the plants.
Was raised on a farm. There was daily and nightly chores. There was wood to split and wood to cut with a cross-cut saw. There was a foolish mistake that I allowed myself to get tricked into, and my dad said if I would learn how to milk, he would give me $1. Worst mistake I ever made in my life. I hated having to get up at 4:30 in the morning, 7 days a week, to go milk. Also had to go down through the field pulling ragweeds and ridgeweeds and planting to substitute the meals for the hogs. So there was always something to do, and my dad ensured that I always had plenty to do. That kept me out of trouble. We had milk cows, so conversely, we didn't drink all the milk. We processed the milk and sold it within the community. We also made homemade butter. Didn't sell much of that. It was awful good staple to go on a biscuit or a piece of cornbread or fried apples. My dad and mom grew up at a time when there was just enough. So you took care of what you had and you used what you had. And it was a good upbringing, although a tough upbringing.
Father passed away. I was 15-year-old. And I had a cow for my family. I'd raised from a little heifer. I had a couple of pigs and some chickens. And had to have feed for them. So I went down to the neighbor's house and trained his horse to plow. And planted corn before school was out. When school was out, I got a job on Mount Mitchell digging ditches. And I'd get up in the mornings and milk, feed my hogs, and eat breakfast. And walk 2 miles and catch a truck at 20 minutes after 6, ride to the mountain and dig ditches all day, ride back and walk home.
We had chores at home. Growing up, each sibling, one day a week had to, after we get through eating, we had chores to wash dishes and clean the kitchen. Each sibling had that to do in the 7 days.
We had to do our dishes, we had to make our beds, mow the lawn, and there was no allowance for it. Between the 4th and 8th grade, we pretty much started working every summer in onion fields, which consists of pulling onions and cutting the tops off and putting them in a bushel basket. And so you had some money to buy your school clothes and had paper route in high school, which was real fun. Out there in the middle of a snowstorm, in the middle of the morning, deliver newspapers before you went to school. It was money and fun.
I never owned one bicycle, and I bought it myself growing up selling newspapers. So I really enjoyed riding the bicycle.
I loved to roller skate. I learned to roller skate real early. I was about 5 years old and I still lived in Greer. When we moved back from Greer to up here, and finally I've lived on Spring Street here in Marion. And I took my roller skates and a broomstick and a tin can, and we played hockey on Spring Street. And I love that thing.
There was a tricycle that I rode about my dad's garden, and a yacht that he made for me that had 2 masts and sails that my mother sewed up. But I liked to go out to the loch, the lake, and adjust the sails so that it would go out and turn so far and come back in again. I used to have a thread on it so that I could pull it back if it went too far. But that was a great thing. I had little nails with wires all round it, port and starboard, front, back, so that nobody could fall over. I mean, it was just a model. But when I moved to Scotland, then I started growing up there. Then I started rowing with the rowing club.
I suppose the kids today would probably have the same feelings that I did. There's school, and you have to go certain times to do this and certain times to do that, and you have to behave, and you don't repeat things that happened at home. That's good. We remember, kids will tell everything, if they gave a chance, but we were just taught not to tell things that happened at home. So we didn't.
The most important thing I learned from my mother, because I really never knew my dad. She was a disciplinarian, and she taught from the time we were 5 years old until up to she passed. Always treat others as you wish to be treated, and it was a must that we attend Sunday school and church, not just on the day and miss a day or Sunday, miss a Sunday, but you had to attend church regularly.
I respect your mum and dad because, they were good to me and brought me up. I didn't have anything I wanted, anything I had to work for it. I worked in the garden, by the way, but I didn't like cutting grass because it was a push mower. They didn't have gas mowers or anything like that over there.
I'm going to tell, when I was born, diphtheria must have been a pretty bad thing going around at that time. And Mom and Dad were said to be carriers, and my older sister, she was about 3, and they quarantined them. And since I was a new baby, they took me away, but the neighborhood took care of me. My granny would keep me 2 or 3 weeks, and my other granny 2 or 3 weeks, and then a neighbor and an aunt, and I was passed all around that neighborhood for about 6 months. And Mom said that her dad brought me so she could see me at Christmas, but I was wrapped up, and Mom thought I was deformed because my head was so big. But I was 6 months older when she'd see me. So must have been
6 months old.
Must have been hard times, but they quarantined people back then to guard against diphtheria.
One thing I remember is we had both horse-drawn vehicles as well as cars. We had icemen because there wasn't much in the way of refrigeration, so the iceman would come around with a horse-drawn cart. We also had the milkman would come in a horse. And that was real good for him because the milkman would be able to get a bunch of milk, carry it to the house, and then go from house to house until he emptied up his little package of milk. But the horse knew the route, and the horse would go along without him, so that the milkman would go, just from the houses where he delivered the milk back to the cart to get some more, and then the horse would just keep up with him. One of the problems, though, with all the horses is because they left a residue. You don't find them anymore, but at that time there were a lot of street cleaners. They had a big broom, a big thing to sweep the manure into. And people were real happy when the automobile came along because they got rid of all of that pollution. Little knowing that what pollution cars are going to bring.
Marion, of course, was a small town, and it was unique in that when I came to Marion, the corporate limits was very small, and At that time, we had no shopping centers, no strip centers. Everything was downtown. And everybody came downtown to shop. So on the weekends, Fridays and Saturdays and other days, it was very busy. And the problem we had, the big problem that Marion had at that time, was parking. The stores were very nice, I thought, at the time, and they carried quality merchandise. You could hardly find anything that was made outside of this country. A lot of things started coming in from Japan and other places, but everything was American made, and you could find really high quality merchandise in Marion at that time. We had some very fine ladies shops and shoes and other type clothing. Men's clothing, that's back when men wore suits, sport coats and ties, and so we had some really nice garments that you could buy at that time. I-40 had opened up, I think, in 1959, if I remember correctly, is when it was opened for this county. And of course, we had Highway 70 and Highway 226 and 221, which we still have. But the thing was that Interstate 40 took a lot of the traffic out of Marion 70 going through the county from Burke County over to Buncombe County. So it was now on I-40. But when you were to get to Old Fort and get to the top of the mountain, you didn't have Interstate 40 anymore. You back on 70 and going to Asheville, you had to go through Swannanoa, Black Mountain, Swannanoa, and into Asheville. So that kept a lot of people in Marion to shop. But again, we didn't have any shopping centers out, so everything was really concentrated downtown. And so on the weekends especially, the sidewalks, it would look sort of like maybe in New York today, because there were so many people on the street, because they all came, and we had people coming from other counties, like from Spruce Pine. They would come down to Marion because we had more variety, more stores, and even people out of Rutherford County and other places would come to Marion to shop. So Marion was really a center of trade, and it was concentrated.
Everything is so much faster. You know, we were just, it was a small town, but it was like in the country. We rode our bikes everywhere. We didn't have to worry. Parents didn't worry about your kids doing anything. If you showed up for lunch, then you knew that it was all right. And it's just more freedom in that way. You hardly went anywhere for a long distance. You just, you went 5 miles to or downtown if there was a grocery store at that time.
It was a lot of freedom in there, that you could do things that you wouldn't really want to do today, like take off on a mile or 2 miles from home on your bicycle, walking or whatever. We'd go to places, just little fishing ponds, and you could go to them, and the parents didn't have to worry about you.
You got your phone, didn't you?
Yeah. Do I break right here?
Yeah, why don't you take a break for just a second?
Like when we went to school, we had to know how to tie our shoes. And we had to know how our alphabet and our numbers, and I guess they still do that. But Velcro, our grandkids don't know how to tie their shoes, or barely. And just things like that, you relied on yourself. You didn't have to go and have everybody do everything for you. You just kind of your own community, and if you needed help, your neighbors came and helped you, and sometimes that's still the way it is today. Dear.
What you doing now?
Did they leave a voicemail, maybe?
Maybe. I don't know what that phone does.
That's how things are different.
Yeah, that is one of the different things in this days, is you've got phones you carry with you. Where back then you didn't worry about a telephone.
It was a dial phone, which you didn't have.
It wasn't in your pocket with you.
When we were growing up, we didn't have phones till later in life either.
Well, I think the most of it is all the gadgets they have these days. You've got television, you've got cell phones, you've got everything like that, and you've got all kinds of health things, you know. They've got you can make people well nowadays with the material that they have there and the machines they have now. They even have robot operations and everything else. But I suppose television is probably the biggest change from what we had when I was young.
Life has been good. God's been good to us, and you know, even growing up in the backgrounds that we grew up in, and we both grew up very poor, and to see the accomplishments today, it's been really good. It's really been good. You just have to stay focused.
I guess as Jimmy Valvano says, never give up.
You can't say, well, this is going to slow me down, or this is going to stop me. You've got to have a vision, and you stay focused on it.
I guess the most important thing I want people to remember of me is that you can come from something small, and if you work hard enough, you can create things and make something large out of something small.
You've got a fabulous journey ahead of you. Enjoy the ride. Learn what you can. Enjoy what you do.